creatures in the nebulae. Before we decrypt more advanced hidden features of this ancient calendar system, we first require practice recognizing and memorizing various regions of space, learning to navigate time using the narrative of Noah alongside an ancient Alef-Tav star chart had an unexpected consequence. I have seen photos of the Milky Way multiple times in my life, but never had I thought to attempt to look for shapes of creatures therein. Near the recognizable shape could be found a shape of a Paleo-Hebrew letter. The letter shape then could be used to reference bright stars on the ecliptic path. These features used together appear to have been used to track the passage of time. I would repeatedly ask myself, am I the only one seeing this? How do I explain this to others? I found Psalm 19 motivated me to look closer. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament is telling of the work of his hands. The Noah narrative was explaining the motion of the dense band of stars, alluding to the blue regions as waters, and the red regions as dry land. In the east, the blue band of stars, with the Hebrew letters that spell out Teba or Ark, rose up atop the band of water-like stars. The Teba contained animals, a clean animal, an Aleph or ox, and unclean animal, a Gimel or camel. At the same time in the west, the red band of stars sank below the horizon. We are now going to spend some time in this red region of stars. The Genesis 7 narrative repeated 3 times the same thing. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life. And all that was on the dry land died. So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both man and cattle, creeping thing and bird of the air. The Noah narrative calendar started and ended at the red portion of the Milky Way. Are there more outlines of creatures to be seen there? Could the shapes of animals assist with the pronunciation of an original alphabet, the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet? What book in the Bible contains descriptions of more animals? Herein you will find the answer to an earlier riddle I proposed. The first book that came to mind with descriptions of animals was that of Job. Namely, the end of the book contains a narrative from God himself, describing animals. Now, to make it clear, my primary understanding is that the narrator is describing creatures that you see on Earth, short descriptions of easy to recognize animals: lion, raven, goat, deer, donkey, ox, ostrich, horse, and hawk and eagle. Then 2 longer chapters dedicated to creatures with a few strange features that scholars today have difficulties matching to known animals. There is a huge-tailed behemoth and a fire-breathing leviathan. Now, at first glance, reading through the book of Job, it seems that there are only 3 verses that talk about the stars. In Job 38, we read, "Can you bind the cluster of Pleiades or loose the belt of Orion? Can you bring out Mazzaroth in its season, or can you guide the bear with his cubs? Do you know the ordinances of heaven? Can you set their dominion over the earth?"
התקשר מעדנות קימה, או מושכות כסיל תפתח? התוציא מזרות בעיתו, ועיש על בניה תנחם? הידעת חוקות שמיים, אם תשים משטרו בארץ?
On more than one occasion, while reading this passage with others, there would be a discussion about how the English translator changed the Hebrew names to Greek and Roman astrological names. It is here that an inference is made that the Jewish people had their own names for regions of the night sky. Before the attempt at decrypting the Noah narrative, I had never considered that there might be something concealed and hidden in the words that God spoke to Job. Solomon wrote in Proverbs, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search out a matter."
כבוד אלוהים הסתר דבר, וכבוד מלכים חקור דבר.
If scholars today name nebula after creatures, then it should come as no surprise if a great mind long ago concealed something incredibly well, kept secretly encrypted and preserved in ancient scrolls for thousands of years. It did cross my mind that there is so much randomness in the nebula that it might be possible to see whatever you want to see. Suppose we did find all the animals of Job hidden in the dense nebula of stars. It could be said that one will find animals in any randomly generated nebula image, just like some can pick out shapes of animals on floor tiles. I suppose someone with free time could design some experiments to simulate random nebula shapes. I thought maybe a group of toddlers with paint cans, red, blue, purple, black and white, toddling around to create a random nebula on a large canvas. Then we take the painting and attempt to find all the animals listed in the narrative. Well, before we create experiments in randomness, let us see if the narrative of Job is describing patterns that can be found within the nebula. To help confirm that it is not just random, I notice that the narrative is not a short, bullet-type list of animals, but rather several of the animals are described with additional details. So these extra features should be within the immediate vicinity of each animal nebula. Finding the animal in the narrative plus the extra details would transition this exercise away from the realm of pure random chance. Some shapes may be easy to find, while others may prove to be more difficult. When examining the common nebula names of today, I sometimes have to look at it for some time before having the there it is moment. It somewhat reminds me of the younger years, sitting around a Where's Waldo book, eyes darting back and forth over the page, hoping to find Waldo before anyone else does. For those on the other side of the globe, they tend to not look for Waldo, but rather a similarly dressed chap named Wally. Now, for those that enjoy a challenge and want to solve this puzzle on their own, then here are some general how-to do-it-yourself instructions. First, Google search for the phrase Milky Way. Next, click Image at the top. For high quality, click on the Tools link and Size and Large. Make sure it is a view from the northern hemisphere, as the Fertile Crescent would view the Milky Way. The southern hemisphere images will need to be rotated 180 degrees in an art program. Next, read the description of the animals found in Job chapters 38 to 41. It is useful to also do a second Google image search for the animal that is being described in the narrative. There are also several great websites where photographers share their photos of the night sky. Astrobin, Amazing Sky, This process took a while to finish because I thoroughly enjoyed tracing over the shape when I found it. So you can now choose. Pause the video and do it yourself. Use those instructions to find the creatures yourself. Organize with friends an evening activity of recognizing shapes in the nebulae. Another option would be to watch this video. You may choose to watch this video as I overlay artwork on top of the nebula based on the descriptions read from the narrative. A third option will be to watch one, then attempt the rest yourself. You might choose to watch me find the first one or two creatures, then pause the videos to see if you can find the rest on your own. When I did this exercise, I was not able to find them all quickly in sequential order. Similar to solving a jigsaw puzzle or a Rubik's Cube, this process takes time. Each time I found the location of a creature, I would get excited, more so when I found small details surrounding the animal. I actually enjoyed this much more than when I played Where's Waldo as a child. Some creatures can be found in more than one location. Some creatures can be found multiple times. Remember, this is an exercise in reconstructing and decrypting something that has been lost to time. Like recovering data off a hard drive that is thousands of years old. There are bound to be mistakes, but that will not stop us from trying our best to decrypt this puzzle. Instead of simply displaying a single image of all the creatures, we'll embark on a visual journey of each creature using the ancient narratives. These creatures presented to Job will serve as our map, guiding us to discover each hidden gem within the nebulae. Now, if you are willing to help with this Alef-Tav Calendar research project, it is important to maintain impartiality when searching for shapes in the nebulae that match the narratives. To achieve this, it is crucial for others to explore and identify shapes within the night nebulae. Rather than solely presenting the shapes that I've found, I propose that others actively participate by seeking out and sharing their discoveries. Below this video and on GitHub, I'll provide instructions on how to engage in this search and how to share your findings. Let us now begin.